Big changes just happened in real estate, and it affects veterans in a pretty big way. The National Association of Realtors, along with the top real estate brokerages in the country, were just sued and they lost. Now they're going to be appealing. And basically what has happened is that sellers are no longer required to pay a co-op to a buyer's agent for buyers using their services. Basically what that means traditionally is that if you have a buyer's agent that you don't pay technically a fee for, right? But they get a fee from the listing agent for bringing them a buyer, which that fee ranges widely just depending on what market you're in. Now, what has already been implemented across a majority of multiple listing services, right? That's where all listings are housed. That people are selling their properties, and buyers now want to come in and look at what inventory exists, right? That's the multiple listing service. So in essence, now if you want to use a buyer's agent to represent you, search for properties, show you properties, right, that you want to go look at, now you'll have to pay them some type of fee out of your pocket if a co-op is not available, which is pretty detrimental to an already crazy market and with limited inventory and higher interest rates. This further hemorrhages that component because people are just not used to paying an additional, $5, $6, $7, $10, $15, $20,000 for those services based on what that individual realtor may be charging for that service. Now, just keep in mind, if there is still a co-op on the property, then whatever, it doesn't make a difference because they're still going to get paid by the listing. Now, for the veterans that are out there, if you're using the VA loan, right, this is specific to using the VA home loan. You could be a veteran using a conventional loan or an FHA loan. This wouldn't apply, what we're talking about next. But if you are a veteran using the VA home loan to purchase a property, you cannot be charged a real estate fee to use a realtor's services. The only way that can be covered is by the sellers, right? Either in a co-op like we talked about, a seller credit or a lender credit. Now, the downside with the lender credit is that your rate will have to increase significantly to cover any of those charges. And it's kind of the wild west right now of what people are talking about in real estate, charging clients or not charging clients, but regardless, you can't pay any of those fees. So it's going to be interesting what happens over the next couple of months. Because again, this was just as of Monday, they lost the lawsuit. They're appealing it, but majority of the MLS systems that are out there already implement those changes where you don't have to put a co-op to a buyer's agent, like we mentioned. So it's going to be interesting because I'm not really seeing much of it right now because, again, it just happened like a couple days ago. But in the upcoming months, especially we go into a spring market, that's going to be the interesting part to see how many listings are going to not have a co-op on there. I think overall it's going to hemorrhage the industry. How many people are actually going to not pay a co-op? I don't think it's going to be that many just because a lot of people just don't have extra money to pay for these services. There might be different solutions that come out with some of these online real estate companies. But again, real estate does have its challenges. Good realtors walk you through that process and they make the transaction much easier because there is a lot of negotiation that happens, and not being represented by your own party, right? Just relying on the seller side where they have a responsibility to the seller doesn't always put you in the best position. So this is why also I think it's a great time to go into the buyer's market and purchase a property over the next couple of months. Get the best deals possible because it's slow. We're in a high interest rate environment. People that are selling in November, December, and January aren't exactly probably moving because of their own will. There could be just life events that are happening. They need to relocate and they need to sell their property. So also right now, I see the highest amount of seller credits that are covering all closing costs for veterans. So you can literally buy a property, no money down, and have all your closing costs paid for. Now, when we go into the spring market like we do, this is cyclical, right? Like every year, the market's going to go crazy. Even if rates are going to be high, people still need to move, buy and sell. It's just the nature of the beast. Then you're talking about multiple bids, you're waiving all your contingencies, you're just not going to be competitive with trying to ask for seller credits if you want all of that covered. So those are things to keep in mind. That's something you can do right now. And again, every time the spring market comes up, values get pushed up. And at least you can lock in the equity now, get a seller credit, cover closing costs, and potentially buy down the interest rate with the seller credit. That's also something we're seeing a lot of. Now just be wary, be careful depending on what lending institutions you work with, because veterans do kind of get charged the most amount of fees. But you guys can connect with us. We're happy to work with you. You don't get charged any of those junk fees. So you save a ridiculous amount of money doing that. So those are all things to keep in mind as we finish up 23 and go into 24. There's definitely going to be, again, certain challenges that are going to come up, but I believe that they're all going to get mitigated as we go through this.